Who you gonna call? God, spoilers! Da-na-na-na-na. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Hayes. I talk movies all day, so subscribe right now if you want to be entertained. And today, I want to talk about Ghostbusters, the 2016 reboot directed by Paul Feig, because that got so much hate when it came out. In fact, this movie was being hated on even before it came out. It was pretty much doomed from the jump. Well, I figured it's 4 years later, we've all had time to process and calm down and get angry at other things that haven't come out yet, so maybe this is a good time to talk about it. So as it is right now, Ghostbusters sits at a 50% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty much as divisive as you can get. Half the people thought it was amazing, fantastic, awesome, while the other half thought it was, well, Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I know there was a lot of accusations of sexism being the reason why people hated this film, but what I want to do with this video is look at some of the reviews and see if I could find out from the people themselves as to why it was hated so much and if that hate was deserved. Or rather, I was, but as it turns out, there is a reason why not everybody should be writing film reviews. I swear, these are actually worse than the people on Amazon who see fit to answer questions they don't know the answer to. Literally writing in a response, I don't know the answer to that. Like, gee, thanks, Karen. Don't you have some neighbors to be spying on or something? Like, why are you here? Anyway, as far as people who liked it goes, the general consensus seems to be that it was good because they liked it. Yeah, that's the reason. Now, when it comes to people who didn't like it, it's definitely not because it had a female cast. They really want you to know that. But it is because it's not the original, nor is it Ghostbusters 3, and that's why it sucks. So here's the thing. Now, firstly, if you're upset that this isn't Ghostbusters 3, then talk to Bill Murray about that. That's on him. But I would say that it isn't really fair or even a good idea to expect a remake or reboot to do exactly what the original did for a lot of different reasons. From a technical point of view, they're going to be different, and in the case of Ghostbusters, they're from two completely different eras of filmmaking. And from a creative point of view, they're not going to try to tell the exact same story. I mean, why would they? Culturally, we're in different places. There's a lot that's changed in the world. It really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to tell the same story. It'd be cheaper to just re-release the original film, and they probably wouldn't have had to deal with all the backlash. By the way, they did re-release the original film, but I don't know how many people noticed or even cared. It's almost as if all that noise was being made by people who probably didn't see the original film but just wanted to dogpile it on something they knew nothing about because it seemed like the thing to do. Almost. Another thing I want to address is the video by Cinemassacre where James Rolfe said that he wasn't going to go see Ghostbusters. Now, this video got a lot of attention from people who championed it, saying it was a very reasoned response, to people who hated it, calling him every bad word under the sun. Now, in the video, he talks about not wanting to go see the film because he didn't like what he saw in the trailer, which I think is fair. If the promotional material didn't inspire you with the desire to go see the full film, then it is what it is. No film is owed anything from you. But he did say a few things in the video that caught my attention, and that is that the reboot didn't seem to pay any kind of homage to the original. It seemingly ignores it, and also he didn't like that most of the original main cast is back, but they're not playing their original roles. He then goes on to say that it should have taken cues from other successful reboots like Star Trek and Star Wars The Force Awakens. The latter might have been a bad example though, because I think even more people hated that film than Ghostbusters. But anyway, he's only part right because yes, the actors don't play their original roles, the story does ignore the original movies, but there are some nods here and there, the Ghostbusters sign, who you gonna call, so it does pay a little bit of respect to the original film. But here's the thing, that doesn't really matter, because it doesn't really have to do any of that. There isn't just one way to do a reboot or one way for a film to be good, because just like how you don't owe the filmmakers anything, they don't owe you anything either. The idea that a remake or reboot must have some kind of fan service in order to be good is actually counterproductive to creative freedom. I mean, imagine a children's TV show still trying to please the original fans 30 years later, when they all got jobs by now. Maybe got kids of their own by now. Maybe even got grandkids by now. And you're still trying to please the original fans. Really. Ghostbusters was made for the people of its time. Ghostbusters was made for the people of its time. And as tough as a pill to swallow as this may be, the people it's made for are not us old guys that remember the original movie from when we were kids. And let me be clear, I'm saying it's not being made for us. That doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. In fact, I think the more we accept that something isn't meant for us, the more we can just let it be what it is, instead of trying to fit it into a narrow idea of our own expectations that it can never really live up to. And by the way, the whole thing about Ghostbusters using the name Ghostbusters as a way of cashing in on the popularity of Ghostbusters, yeah, but that's typically how these things go. But anyway, with all that said, what is Ghostbusters? Well, the main thing I got from the movie was a story about being true to yourself. Erin is someone who spent a long time chasing a dream that wasn't really hers and trying to pretend her past never happened. But by the end of the movie, she's learned to fully embrace who she is unapologetically, because good or bad, your past is what makes you who you are. One might say that's a little bit ironic, isn't it? Maybe even lacking a little self-awareness, but hey, it is what it is. I think the women also represent different stages of self-love. Erin, still embarrassed by her past. Abby, at the beginning, has perhaps just come into her own self-worth when she decided she will publish the book that she co-wrote, and throughout the movie, she's the one speaking up about what she feels is poor service from Benny's restaurant. Patty has enough self-confidence to be able to apply for a job that didn't actually exist and gets it because black girl magic. And then Jill, who perhaps has always embraced her full, weird, geeky self. Overall, I thought Ghostbusters was mildly amusing. By far the funniest joke for me was when they were reading the comments on the video and one said, "Ain't no bitches gonna hunt no ghost." I've read somewhere, probably on some Twitter post, that scene was actually added in after some of the initial backlash. I don't know if that's true or not, but either way, it worked. So for all the hate it got, I'm gonna say it wasn't deserved. A lot of the negativity seems to revolve around assumptions that either don't pan out or really don't matter if they did. This is the type of film that I think if you didn't see it because it didn't seem that interesting, I'd say give it a try. Especially if it ever ends up on one of these streaming services, or if you see it going real cheap somewhere like Crazy Eddie's Bargain Bin or something like that. I think you might be pleasantly surprised that it's not the hot garbage people say it is, and it's actually really, really mediocre. But if you didn't see it because you hate women, or because it didn't do that very specific thing that you wanted it to do, or because you thought not seeing it makes you look cool with your incel buddies who all went to see it in secret, then grow up. Go eat some salty parabolas. But that is what I think of Ghostbusters. What do you think? Slimer or slime her? Let me know down below, and while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a suggestion if you don't mind.